A special type of informative speech is a demonstration speech, also called the process speech. This type of speech intends to teach an audience how something works or how to do something. You might use a demonstration speech at work, at school, at home, or at recreation. Today we'll focus on the types of demonstration speeches as well as how you can do a successful demonstration speech. The 4 types of demonstration speeches are to demonstrate how something works, how something is made, how something is done, or how something happens. When you demonstrate how something works or how it is fixed, you might talk about how an eye works, or how a computer operates, or how a carburetor works. If you are doing a speech on how something is made or produced, you might be demonstrating how to make the perfect cup of coffee, how a violin is constructed, the art of Japanese origami, how to make beads, or how to make tamales. If you are demonstrating how something is done or is used, you might be demonstrating how to massage someone's back, how to clean fish, how to fly an airplane, or how to perform a particular surgery. Or you can explain how something happens. How did dinosaurs become extinct? How do dreams occur? How do pearls form? Or how does a particular disease develop? The first consideration in preparing a good demonstration speech is to focus on the topic. What things might you consider? Well, first you'll want to review the situation. Where is it going to be held? What is the facility like? And what's the purpose of the speech? The second thing to consider is the time limit. How long do you have to actually demonstrate what it is you are planning to demonstrate? And keep in mind that everything takes longer than you think. While it may only take you 2 minutes to make a good cup of coffee at home, when you are in front of the audience and explaining all the steps, it's going to take significantly longer. There may be some limitations on the topic that are either imposed by yourself, what you've limited yourself to, or perhaps what an instructor or an employer has given you. You'll want to review what you know and are interested in, because that might lead to good topics. What does the audience already know and what do they already find interesting, as well as what they might find interesting? You should also consider your access to aids and resources. Do you actually have the ability to get a Recessa Annie if you're thinking about doing a demonstration speech on how to perform CPR? And are there resources that you were required? For example, are there a certain number of source citations that you need to include? That might make a difference for you. Now that you've got a good topic, it's time to develop a logical outline. For this, let's assume that we're doing a demonstration speech on cartoons, and we'll talk about 3 different outlines for this. If your purpose is to explain the process of creating a comic strip, you might use a chronological organization, which would involve designing a comic strip, drawing a comic strip, and then producing that strip. If your purpose is to teach your audience how to draw a cartoon character, you may use a spatial organization, starting with drawing the head, the upper body, and then ending with the lower body. And then a very popular organizational structure is topical, which sometimes combines some. So if you were going to inform your audience about cartooning, your first point might be the importance or the value of the topic, followed by the materials that you need in detail, and then the steps in actually drawing. You might want to consider this approach to organizing your speech. The first is you'll start with an introduction. You'll be introducing the speech, explaining the value of the topic to your audience, and of course ending with a preview statement which previews your main points. Then we move to the body of the speech. The first point in the body might be understanding the importance or relevance of when what you're talking about might be appropriate or useful. Again, you are establishing that this is a worthwhile topic for your audience. The second main point would be what you need in order to do what you're trying to teach them to do. Specifically, what tools are needed and what materials in the exact amounts. It needs to be more than just a list. The third step would be the process, how to actually do it, all the steps in the procedure. And then there is a fourth step that you're not going to do when you're giving a demonstration in class. It's an unstated one, which is now you will do it or we will do it together. And if you think about it, these 4 steps are what you do whenever you're teaching somebody, let's say at home, you're teaching a child to cook. This is the order that you would talk about it. But in a speech in a classroom situation, we likely wouldn't have time to do the 4th step. And then you would conclude. You would reiterate the value of it and then have a summary statement that reminded us of the steps that you've gone through in the body of the speech. Some things that are important are to begin with the end in mind. Think about what the end result should be and then backtrack to figure out how to get your audience to that point. In the beginning, you want to orient your audience. Give them the big picture, and that might help them better understand the steps. Explain why things are done. Don't just do them. Explain why you've done it that way. And then if there are any safety issues, don't forget to mention those during the speech. So you've got a good topic and you've got a good outline. Now it's time to consider your audiovisual aids. Prepare and practice with and bring the appropriate aids. Preparation is key. If you remember the famous television French chef Julia Child, she always had her food items prepared in various stages. She would start with, if she wanted to show you how to chop up an onion, she would start chopping up an onion, but then she'd already have the onion chopped up to show you, so she didn't have to take the time to chop it up. She talked about what you needed to do and showed you what you needed to do before you put something in the oven, and then she had a completed dish ready to show you at the end. So prepare your aids carefully. You'll also need to practice with your aids. That will help you get through the speech without fumbling. And then consider how easy it is to transport the aids. You will have to bring all of your own aids to the presentation, so you'll need to consider how easy it is to transport and carry them. You need to practice the speech several times so that you can deliver it in what appears to be an effortless format. Rehearse, and then make sure you keep talking as you demonstrate. And you should always be prepared to answer questions if they arise. Here's your BOLO bulletin, the be on the lookout for. Avoid long silences. Keep talking while demonstrating or changing your presentation aids. Avoid too much detail. Make it simple. More detail can often be covered in future presentations or in response to question and answers. Consider the aids and make sure that they are large enough, loud enough, not distracting, they're professional, and they're necessary to help enhance the audience's understanding. Disorganization and last-minute preparation often go hand in hand. Arrange everything in advance. Don't wait to the last minute to prepare your presentation because that invites disaster. And then be careful of going over the time limit. Remember that everything takes significantly longer than you think it's going to take. So practice a lot and be ready to adjust. In your quest for a good grade, you would want to consider if, as a result of doing your speech, your audience would have a clear understanding of the topic area as well as the importance and value of knowing the information you're providing them. Does your audience have a clear understanding of the materials that are required? Are you organized? Have you identified any special tools and where to get them if necessary? The specific amounts of items. Don't just say, oh, you'll need Rice Krispies, but identify how much Rice Krispies. This should be more than just a list. Are the steps and the procedures logical? They're likely going to be a chronological organizational structure, but you'll need to explain why the steps are taken. In terms of your presentation aids, do they clearly enhance and support your message? Are the aids large enough or loud enough? Are they carefully selected? Are you using them appropriately? Don't just put them on the table. Sometimes you might have to lift them up and show them to the audience. And does your conclusion reinforce the purpose and the value of the topic to your audience? Quiz time now. What types of topics are appropriate for a demonstration speech? Which organizational structure might you use to demonstrate how to create a fire escape plan for a home? And then which of the BOLOs, the be on the lookout fors, is probably the most troublesome for you? At the end of your demonstration speech, make sure you have left your audience with useful information, a good understanding of what you were talking about, and something to remember.